ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to this next video. I am DPJ, to Phantom J if you're new, and we're going to be looking at a video game that I always wanted to try. Well, try again, because I did play the first one, but it's one of those type of Dark Souls-like games that I never was a fan of because they're super hard, and I don't want to be stressed out while playing with my toys. So yeah, I got pretty far in the first one, couldn't beat it, because I got lost and couldn't find it. Tried for like 2-3 hours to try to find the next thing to do after I killed like the little knight boss after like 36 tries. And got frustrated and deleted off my account. But I always wanted to go to see if the sequels are ever really good. So when I go and look to buy a new video game, I'm looking to see what sucks first. Let me hear the hate first, then I look for the glaze. Because the Glazers will have you buy a video game, they have you spend now $70 on a brand new video game. You load it up and it's like, wow, this is really ass. So today, we're going to have some assistance from Ziostorm. And he's going to tell us why Code Vein 2 kind of sucks.
Alright, what's going on, guys? So these past few days I've been playing a lot of Code Vein 2. Now, this was actually one of the games this year I was really looking forward to. Code Vein is one of the staple Souls-likes. It was one of the first to truly be a Dark Souls clone, but innovate in other ways, exploring new genres, and putting a spin on the From Software formula in a way that made it its own. Now, that game had a lot of issues that ultimately led me to quit playing a little over halfway through, but I still thought it was a pretty good game, and recently I've been getting back into it in preparation for this one. Now here we are at Code Vein 2, the sequel that promised to be bigger, better, and much more evolved. But after getting my hands on it, it might somehow actually be worse than the original Code Vein.
And that's why I go for the hate first. Because how is the sequel worse than the game that came before it? The second game should be better than the first, is what I always thought. But clearly, well, I don't know, this is his opinion, which we're going to get more of. But that's what I knew. So I'm not the only one who quit this game before beating it.
Now, as someone who is a sucker for bad Souls-likes, these are my guilty pleasure games. I'm having a hard time with Code Vein 2, but I'm going to break down all my thoughts on this game so far. I'm not going to make this a summary of the game itself, and don't worry, this video will be spoiler-free. I'm not that far into the game so far, but you really don't need to be to see the issues. So as we get started today, as always, if you want to stay up to date on all things Souls-like games and From Software, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and now let's get into it. Now, right off the bat, if you played Code Vein 1, Code Vein 2 is almost exactly the same. At least when it comes to the game systems, how everything works, how it plays, except now it's trying to do more Elden Ring than Dark Souls. You have a jump now, levels are spread across these big open fields.
I would say that is an improvement. You can fucking jump. That was the most frustrating thing about that first game. You couldn't jump anywhere. It felt like the mobility was just very linear and you're too stuck. But you can jump now. That's great. Okay, you roll dodge now and all that stuff. I've never played Elden Ring, but it looks too hard for me. If I told you Code Vein was hard, I think I could play Elden Ring.
Which I actually really like, by the way, and eventually you get a motorcycle to traverse these open fields on. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with any of that, but in addition to these evolutions, it does seem like the game has brought forward all the problems that the original had. First and foremost, we gotta talk about visuals. Somehow this game looks worse than the original Code Vein. Maybe it's because the areas are so much bigger now, but everything seems to lack detail. There's no real cohesive art direction here, and it all just feels bland and dead. For all of its faults, the original Code Vein did have a sort of aura about it that Code Vein 2 seems to be completely missing. They traded out the black and bloody theme of the original Code Vein to this new art style of cracked gold and kintsugi, but it seems like they only did that to get it dropped from a M rating to a T for teen, and it feels like they sacrificed the soul of the Code Vein name simply for that reason. So now instead of having that visceral, almost vampire feel, everything kind of feels like plastic action figures fighting, which makes combat less satisfying and more frustrating whenever you get hit. But we'll come back.
See, I felt that way about the first game. It felt very stiff, like plastics figures, like you just said. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I might skip this one too. But who knows? We got to watch the glaze too.
Back to combat. Probably the biggest issue that you're gonna have just trying to play this game is the performance. Now, in the original Code Vein, the performance is what ultimately made me put it down, because it was just impossible to play whenever it originally came out on the Xbox One. And I'm also playing this one on Xbox, and it's the exact same problem as when the original came out back then. This game runs horribly. You will go from triple-digit frames all the way down to single digits and right back almost non-stop the entire time you're playing. And it's so bad that I was physically getting motion sick and had to take breaks, even after just an hour of playing. And that's not even the biggest issue with the performance problems. The problem is, that's gonna constantly get you killed, because it causes things like input delay, frame skipping, and in a Souls-like where combat is so precise every input matters, you just can't have that and have a good time. Now, the worst of the performance is gonna come when you're just trying to explore the open world portions. That's not really a big deal to me. I don't care if the performance is really that bad when I'm not in combat. But like I said, the constant back and forth was just making me sick. It's 2026. On modern hardware, we should not be having these issues, especially for a game like this that is not that visually striking. Now let's talk about gameplay for a minute, and this will probably be the biggest thing that influences a purchasing decision. This game markets itself as a standalone, meaning that you shouldn't have to play the original Code Vein to understand the story, what's going on, and how to play. But
See, that's what I was worried about when it comes to games like this, when it comes to sequels. I don't want to have played the old game. Like, there's a series, what, Trails of Cold Steel or whatever. You have to play the entire series to understand what the fuck is going on in the fourth game. And of course, the first game is some old bullshit that nobody wants to play. And now to get to the fourth game is like you got to play hours upon hours of bullshit to get to the game that you play the little demo of the fourth one. Oh, this is fun. You had to go back to the first one. It's like, yuck. Number 2, yuck. Number 3, okay. Number 4, finally. A lot of us don't have the patience for that.
if you did not, well, good luck, because even though this game seems to have double the tutorials that the original did, somehow it's much more confusing. Now, in principle, the systems are generally the same as other Souls-likes, but the communication in the menus and explanations of the game's systems feel so bad. And looking at it on a still image, it looks fine.
I don't mean to keep stopping, but on this same, the UI in these games are so bad. It doesn't feel very user-friendly, just like he's saying. It seems so complex, and explanations of what's supposed to be going on is so piss poor. I had to go to YouTube. I'm looking like, how do I make this guy? What's his name? Because you're telling me that, oh, a burden, this is what it is. But that's not what it's not. That's not what it is. And you got to go to a different guide and all this stuff to figure out what it is. Jesus.
But for some reason, I feel like my brain is short-circuiting trying to make a build, because also like the first Code Vein, you don't actually get to influence your stats. It's based on all the equipment and the blood code that you're using and your partner, even more so than the original Code Vein, because now you have things like shields that influence your stats as well. Personally, I just don't like the systems. I feel like it could be simplified a lot without losing any of the creativity. And again, we had this back in the original Code Vein, but it was simplified more in that game. Here it just feels weird, and I think a lot of people just won't care as long as they can wield their weapon and the numbers go up. But that's just kind of how this game is, and I get that it's a JRPG thing to just have a million different materials. Every enemy drops different materials. You don't have a clue what any of them actually do or what they're used for, and it probably won't matter unless you're trying to min-max. Personally, for me, I don't like systems like that. Just make things easy to understand. But hey, if that's your style, it's here. But now let's talk about the combat, arguably the most important aspect of any Souls-like, and I feel like this one is really hit or miss. Some people are probably gonna like it. I think a lot of people are not gonna like it, because it does feel a bit more clunky than the original. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure why that is. Maybe it's the performance, but something is off. There's a constant feeling of, oh, I shouldn't have gotten hit by that, or I swear I pressed B to dodge, and it just didn't. And that's generally not a feeling I had too much in the original, but it's constant.
Shit, you talk, no way. I felt all that through the first one. Press a button, it didn't work. Now I played on PS5 though. I don't know, Xbox. I'm a little too grown for Xbox. PlayStation 5 with a PC and nothing. But no, I felt that all through the first game. You'll press a button and feel like nothing happened and you just get your ass whooped.
In Code Vein 2. Now, one issue I did have in the original that is persistent here is that enemies sort of have combos that are a bit too fast for you to dodge at times, and attacks that swing around their entire body 360 degrees, even if it looks like they shouldn't. It's not the end of the world, and there's still a lot of fun to be had in your moment-to-moment combat, but the bottom line is there's just little things that create frustration, almost consistently. Now, can that be chalked up to skill issue? Well, probably, but these are just concerns I'm feeling as I'm playing through the game. Now, I don't like being so negative. Those are definitely my biggest gripes, but let me talk about a little bit of positives. Number one that I've seen actually be a negative from a lot of people, I like the open area zones. I like looking for secrets and having areas to explore, and I think they've done a decent job at making it worth your while. And it seems like, at least for the first few levels, there are things to find in each of the far corners and those hard to reach places. I haven't really gotten the impression of a ton of empty space. It seems like all the times I've gone out exploring have been worth it. The story does seem decent enough, and it does seem like there are going to be some pretty big twists, but it's very anime. Some of this stuff, man, I'm a little bit past this point. It's just weird. The English dub is also very hit or miss. Some characters are good, some are pretty bad. And that's the feeling I've gotten with this game so far. It goes between being fun and not being fun so quick that if I had to give it a 1 to 10 just based on what I've played so far, I really couldn't say. Now, based on that, if you really liked the first one and just want more Code Vein, then you will probably enjoy this game. If you're someone that has not played the first one and really want an anime Souls-like, honestly, I'd say just get that one. Personally, I pre-ordered the deluxe edition just because I wanted the early access, but I'm making a video about it, so there's kind of a return on investment. You know, do what you want with your own money. For the average person, I definitely would not recommend spending $90 on this game. I probably wouldn't even recommend
$90? That's what I'm saying. Why would I pay $90 for this bullshit? That's why you watch The Hate first. There's no way. I couldn't even finish the first one, so there's no way I'd buy this. Who cares about the glaze in this white? This is ass.
recommend spending the $70 that it's going for. This is a game I'd wait to go on sale, unless you just really loved Code Vein. I know gaming's kind of at this space now where it feels like everybody has to have the same opinion about every single game. I don't feel that way. I'm just giving you my perspective. Personally, I don't know if I'm going to finish this game. It kind of sucks, but there's some fun to be had. But y'all let me know your thoughts down below. Have you tried Code Vein yet? Are you having fun? Either way though, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like on it and subscribe if you're new around here, and I will catch you in the next one.
Well, that was that. So as far as Code Vein 2 is concerned, it doesn't look like that's a pickup for me, but if you want to play it, let me know how you like it. Because one guy doesn't like it doesn't mean you won't, but I'm not going to spend a cell phone bill on a video game that I'm not going to enjoy. But that'll wrap it up. Thank you to Ziostorm for the, I guess, mini review about Code Vein 2. So, if you like what you see, like what you hear, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and show back up if you would like to do it again. I'm the Phantom J, and I'll see you next time. Bye.